Yo, what is up? We are back here at No Border Sports. I've got everyone's favorite Keltz Chronicles. This is Rich. And we got SwanSong over there holding it down. If you know anything about 49ers Twitter, you know about SwanSong. He's everywhere. How you gentlemen doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for allowing me on the show. You know, we've chopped it up a few times, so I'm excited, blessed, not stressed. Just another day, man.
Oh, yeah. Swan, anything new in the...
Just got back from a doctor's appointment for a checkup, and I'm fully healthy, dude. I'm all good.
Oh, that's wonderful.
About 15, 20 pounds, but other than that, I'm good.
Is that extra ice cream?
Yeah, dude, too much Rocky Road.
Bro, telling you, that stuff gets good. Yeah, I actually, you guys know about NFTs?
I mean, I do, but I don't really mess with it.
So there was one that popped off today, and supposedly somehow I was lucky. I didn't get on this thing in the beginning, and you had to have like something called a hall pass to get in on the special pre-sale. But then they had the last minute you can get in, and somehow my buddy figured out that I had won a hall pass. So I get in, I buy 2 of these things, right? Supposedly you're supposed to have like a better chance for rares on this day. So I get in there, cop 2 of these bad boys. One of them is in the 30s. The other one's 6,000 or something, right? So might have got a rare one.
Wow.
And my homeboy got me in one. It charged it to his account and then failed it. And then they'll have to refund it in like 3 to 5 days, but he didn't get his mint. And they totally screwed him, and I feel horrible. We will talk about that at 9:00 tonight on No Border Sports on 2 Dweebs and a Table Talk.
I don't know anything about. I mean, I know that I have a neighbor whose kid, he's like a 14, 15-year-old kid, and I guess he went in for like $500 or something like that, and he just cashed out for $3,800. So,
yeah, I spent $500 today.
His dad just told me about it. I was like, oh, that's cool.
And like a project that is similar to this, some of them are going for like 100 thou, 150 thou, so ooh. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going down nowadays.
And you said this is NFT?
Yeah, it's an NFT. It's called Flunks. Essentially it's an NFT that they have come out with, these NFTs that obviously they have different, variations of them. They give also rarities and whatnot, but it's going to be linked into a game that's going to be play to pay. So like you play it and you earn stuff that you can turn around and sell for like cryptocurrency, aka money. And so these things are going to become very valuable because you're going to need one of them to play the game. And the more values in the game, the higher these things are worth. It's crazy stuff that's going down. There's a lot of other things too that you, being a sports fan, might want to look into. Like if you guys like UFC Strike, that's where you can buy actual moments in NFT form of UFC fights. Like I got, what's his name? Barnett, I think it was. This is a big, like 230-pound dude who does a spinning backwards roundhouse kick to the head. Knocks dude down, finishes him with his hands real quick, then jumps up and does jumps up and like does a spiral in the air and then seat drops on the ground. Like, I mean, I was like, yes. But they also have NBA Top Shot. So if you like basketball, I mean, I got a moment with Kevin Durant talking about him taking the shot with 2 people in his face, and I paid $10 for the starter pack for that.
It's just it's a lot of things, but it's just a way to own digital art that actually has a fixed amount of people that can own it.
So think about
it's another marketing scheme, kind of. But
think about like a baseball card with that is always immaculate, right? So you can't touch it really and hold it, but it'll always stay pristine. So you can't like really decrease its value by doing anything to it, other than people just deciding it's not valuable anymore. You know what I mean? But as these things go on, right now they're all in there. Like all these ones are in the NFL All Day is one for NFL moments, but they're all in there like I think NBA Top Shot's going to essentially their first season. So everything before this has been their 0 season. So, I mean, you're talking about the first of first. So things that you pick up now might be, extremely valuable later, even though they're not necessarily a good moment. It's just the fact that it was in the first season ever to come out. And they're never going to make another first season ever. So it's some crazy stuff. I've got some videos on the channel about it. You can see if you ever want to take a look and a gander. It works on the Flow network, and that's kind of it's where all these projects run off of. But kind of got on off to a weird tangent there. Sorry, but I do suggest people look into it because it would be a way to, I don't know, kind of enjoy your sport in different ways, and also, it's a hobby, it's collecting. There's a marketplace too. So with NBA Top Shot, did you ever play the Madden mobile game? Oh, so you would collect these players, and then once you got a whole bunch of these players, the right ones, you could turn them in for a better card. And that card, every card you could play on your team with. You know what I mean? So now what they're doing is these NBA moments, you put them together in this collection, you can make a better you get a better moment from it. So in the marketplace now, people aren't they're trying to buy them. You know what I mean? Each moment. So these smaller moments, the prices are just skyrocketing because everybody wants to get their hands on one. So I mean, there's they're
that sounds crazy. That just sounds crazy. It's hey man, hey, I learned something
collect
today.
Full teams. It's if you like basketball.
Non-fungible transfer
token. Yep.
It's just when it comes down to it, the cynical way of looking at it is, it's just a bunch of people with a lot of money trying to make more money.
Well, there's actually going to be other applications later on. Someday your house deed might be an NFT. It could be like a living document. And then it would be able to be moved around, sold, and the amount that somebody paid for it would end up being the receipt that you would get, and you would send over it's the currency itself would be the receipt. It's crazy.
Man, we've come a long way from just riding our bikes outside to climbing cherry trees, and man, I'm thinking about climbing cherry trees and having rock wars and
King of the Hill.
Man, we are in a different world, my man. It's off the hook. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back to some 49ers talk. Let's see. So there's been this rumor of the Jets were eyeing Deebo Samuel. We heard that Jed York came out today and pretty much put the kibosh on all that. If the 49ers were going to trade Deebo Samuel, what do you think that trade package would look like, Keltz?
Oh, man, I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but, I like to shoot from the hip. I try not to, on certain things, I try not to think too much, but just shooting from the hip, I would figure, I look at someone like Tyreek Hill, I know he's definitely established himself much more in the NFL with the career he's put up so far. So I would figure it would be something, a little less than what Tyreek Hill just did. You know what I'm saying? That's probably a lot, but I mean, man, it's so tough with someone like Deebo. It's kind of like my son. My son, he asked me just last year, like, man, has Deebo always been this good? And I was like, yeah, Deebo has always been this good, dude. It's just, he hasn't really got to prove it. He hasn't been on, half of the battle is, staying on the field. And then at the same time, when you got a guy like, Jimmy Garoppolo, it's going to be hard to, that's why you haven't seen a receiver from the 49ers. I don't think we've seen a Pro Bowl receiver since 2000, I believe, 3. We haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since, I believe, Jeff Garcia. It's just it kind of all goes hand in hand. There's so many layers to what's valuable, what isn't. But you see a guy like Debo built like a little brick house, tries his heart out. You know, I've referred Debo many a times to Reggie Jackson, an old baseball player. You know, Mr. October. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah, I know Reggie.
But they used to call him, they used to kind of refer to him as the straw that stirs the drink. So I kind of look at Debo, in that similar type of way. Like he's like, man, you're not gonna find too many people like Debo Samuel who got that will, who got that fight. Me personally, I was kind of like, no way. Like, I don't want to hear nothing about trading no Debo. Not a chance. Like none of it. And then, taking my emotions out of it, I was kind of like, man, I wonder how the Niners look at this. Would they really want to give that much money to that position? I kind of took Debo out of it. I took emotions out of it. I tried to just dissect it and been like, when was the last time the 49ers really handed over that kind of money to a cornerback or to a wide receiver or so it's interesting, man, for sure.
You know what I
like,
thought about?
What's that?
I thought back to Kittle. I thought if we would have traded Kittle before we extended him, what could we have done then with that? Because it seems like every year there's somebody that's popping off that's an all-star, and then it's like afterwards their production goes down. Look at Fred Warner last year. Not to say that I was like, let's get rid of Fred Warner, but, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you had other people in line. You could have started doing that. You know what I mean? With Greenlaw, put Greenlaw in charge, and you could pay him less. You know what I mean? And you could ship Fred off. Same thing with Kittle. Same thing with Debo. And you could replace if I felt if I trusted them to do something with those picks, I'd say let's do it every year. Like Bosa, sorry, bro. The only person I would probably pay the bag to would be Trey. You know what I mean? Because that talent in that position is what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Other than that,
It looks like the guy who they really broke the bank to was Trent Williams. It's kind of like, that this team has been about the trenches, which they should. So I could definitely see it happening with Bosa for sure, without a doubt. But it's just it's all interesting. I think with Debo, they're gonna break him off. I hope they do. But it's still interesting at the same time. Another point, in a weird little conspiracy type of way, this could have no weight. Sometimes my mind travels. And so, this could be a little far-fetched, but man, I look at the Niners like one of the most inconsistent teams from, like, you don't really see too many players, that have like put together 2-3 straight years, at any position, like you were just saying about Fred Warner. So it kind of makes me feel like, do they purposely give the ball to one player 1 year, try to equal it all out to maybe try to manage money? Like, it gets a little weird.
I can see what you're saying, but I think it more has to do with injuries. Yeah. It's just where we have a squad that, they get injured. And so when you get injuries and you miss 4 games, 5 games, that it's going to be inconsistent, right? Because it's like, it's hard for a team where let's say with Kittle, right? He used to be the man, right? And then he misses games, whatever. So then, they have to go to another person when he misses games, right? So that goes to, and then if the defense is now, keying on Kittle, then it puts another guy open, right? So then they're now, like, any team that's going to face the 49ers, what's their first game plan? When they dock it up now for against the offense, they're going to go stop Debo, right? Like, now that's going to be etched in stone. Maybe not in the beginning maybe not in the first 8 weeks of last season, right? Because it's probably like the same thing. Hey, let's cover him this way. But I'm sure this season it's going to be, how are we going to take care of Debo? What's our game plan around Debo? And then everything goes around that. So then you might see numbers like it might change again of like what you said. It might be Ayuk that gets a little bit more shine, right? Because let's be real. Like Debo had a freaking and a freaking one of one season, right? There's if we get
Beautiful.
another one of
Beautiful.
those, like it'd be insane. So like 49er fans should go, even if there's like 10% drop off or 15% drop off, it's still damn good because you know he's going to be keyed on, right? Because I don't expect him to get how many rushing TDs did he have? 9?
8.
8. That's ridiculous.
That's still a record, right?
There's no way he's going to repeat that, right? I mean, I hope he does.
That's not true though.
Yeah.
If you get somebody like Christian Watson on the team, and you got everybody having to worry about where Christian Watson's going too, you know what I mean? Then you're if you got somebody going on the sweep, Debo in the backfield, or Debo on the sweep, somebody in the back, there's.
Yeah, I mean the thing about it is, I'm not expecting Debo to have a season like that. If he has something close to it, I'm fine. Right? Like if next year if he gets like say 1,300 yards, I'm not gonna be mad about it. I'm not gonna be, oh man, he's dropping off or anything like that, right? Yeah. It's just the way the NFL is. Like if you look at Jerry Rice's best year, right? It's like 1,800 yards, but all of his other seasons are not 1,800 yards. They're like 1,300, 1,250, 1,400. You know what I mean? It's like it just changes every year, and the NFL is different. Like you just never know what you're gonna get, and then competition changes. And we hope that with Trey starting, that we're gonna have a more prolific offense. I know. First off, it's probably going to look a lot like last year's, just because they're not going to be. They're gonna mold Trey slowly, right? As you see him play, right? So he's gonna maybe Shanahan will drop 5 or 10 new more plays for Trey this year or whatever that number is. I don't even know what that number is. But as years go on, you're gonna get more. As Trey learns, like perfects the offense, he's going to be comfortable with doing more, right? Doing other things. And that's what's awesome, exciting about Trey as well, because with Jimmy, we've seen the same offense, right? If anything, we've even made it more conservative, right? Like, oh man, well now let's just run Debo and let's give Debo more touches underneath, and just do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can tell that the offense has shrunk the more Jimmy has stayed on this team. You know what I mean? Like if you look at his numbers, I think they're like on yardage and things like that. Even though we had the extra game, they went lower, right, than his 19 season. Granted, how many games he missed? 2 games this year, Jimmy. Did he miss any games in 2019? I don't think he missed any, right?
2019? No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think that's his only full season now. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, but going back to your initial question with the Jets, of course, no 49er fan wants to be without Debo, right? For sure, right? But let's say if negotiation comes where it just, the Niners have a good argument, right? Niners can say, dude, we love you, but this is 1 year of this. You missed 8 games last season, and you missed a handful of them your rookie season, and you have injury history going back from college. We know that you're doing the right things. We respect it. You're doing well. But at the same fact, how can we pay you more than, whatever? I'm talking about his contract, not his picks. But anyway, so
where are you going?
Yeah, but
I think Keltz wanted to say something a long time ago.
But with trading though, I think it'll probably be a little bit better than Tyreek's, because I'm a homer, and then second, I think it's because he's younger than Tyreek, right? Debo's younger than Tyreek.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So then let's just say, like, you have the Jets, right? They have picks 4, 10, 35, and 38.
No, don't worry about what picks somebody has. Just what's the value?
Okay, so the Jets, I would take pick 10. I would pick like that second rounder, and then maybe like a third in next year, something like that. If push comes to shove, if it was like, hey, this is not going to happen, that's the compensation that I would kind of expect, right? Something in that range.
So what I see is once news is out that 49ers are dealing Debo, I'm thinking price just goes through the roof, and I'm thinking we're talking about 2 first rounders and maybe a third.
I mean, I could see that they did that for Jamal Adams, right?
Like, yeah,
I could almost see it getting to Russell Wilson. Type,
hey, what did my bad for not even coming through. Knowing my stuff right now. But what did Tyreek Hill go for? He went for
2 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
2 seconds and a third and something.
Yeah.
Tyreek got 5 picks though.
Yeah, I see. So I'm already falling off because as soon as I thought about Tyreek Hill's contract, I could have swore it was a first, a second, and something. But I'm way off.
Well, right. Yeah, I'm mixing it up right now.
So I agree more with you guys as far as like, yeah, I definitely see a first being in there for sure. Like someone like Debo, like without a doubt. So I got to retract on that one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you make a valid argument. Like I didn't think what you said was crazy, just because you make an argument where it's like, hey, dude, he's not Tyreek. Tyreek has 4 years of this. Granted, that you can come back and say, hey, Tyreek is 29 and 28, 29.
They ran him into the ground this year, and he didn't make a peep. You know what I mean? He did not. Let's say that the contract doesn't get done right now. Everybody's like, will he show up? Yes, he's going to show up. You know why? Because he's a consummate pro. And he's showing the 49ers that he's a pro, and he's showing every other team in the league who he might be auditioning for a spot in at that time if if the contract doesn't go his way. He's auditioning for them, and he's showing them I'm a consummate pro. Debo, yeah, he'll show up. He's a grown man. He's been since he got in the league.
He's going to show up. But the only real concern, and I'm glad that he fixed some of that, was like they said like the criticism for him early was that he can stay in shape, and because one of the I think he came in 2020 out of shape, right? So I guess this year he came in shape, and I think he took some of those things seriously, right? And it's kind of like, yeah, dude, I cannot be, I got to take care of my nutrition. I got to
go. Hey, Swan, will you check the private chat right quick? Sent you a message. So the first round pick, second round pick, the fourth round pick, and the fourth round pick is, geez, okay. So I do want to answer this one right. Serious question. If they keep Jimmy G until the season starts, should Lance request a trade? I think his talent is wasted with the franchise without a backbone. Waruna, I'll answer mine. I'll let these guys get at it. I think that he doesn't, because one way or another, I wouldn't want to show that I'm like a diva, and I think that would be kind of like a diva-like move. I would wait another year, and if they're still doing some, like if they talk about, if he's not traded halfway through the season or something like that, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna let my intentions know. Hey, if this guy is anywhere close to this locker room during the off season, I want to go somewhere else. But let you guys answer that.
Yeah, not a chance. Not someone like Trey. Trey is never gonna, you know what I'm saying, stir. It would take a lot. And on top of it, like we were talking about before the show started, was just like how much stuff Trey has been through. I think he's probably one of the most just humble dudes, smart dudes. He knows his time is coming. He knows what time it is. And it kind of reminds me of, has there ever been a time where Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan have ever been kicking it in the offseason? I can't remember a time.
Never.
Have they? But
I haven't seen it.
It reminds me of the picture of, Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance just a little while back, how they're kind of kicking it. And then a couple days later, we see behind the scenes, they kind of promise Trey Lance. It's like I think I would like to say all of us Niner fans know what it is. Jimmy's there. It's only a matter of time. This is Trey's team. Of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to try to stir up and talk about. Not me, but talk about during the off season. You know what I'm saying? As far as Trey, Debo, Jimmy still has a chance to start. If we see that, man, there truly might be some maybe a little bit more than peaceful protest going on if
Oh
Trey's not the
man,
starter.
I've already told all these guys, if Jimmy's on the team, if he's starting, I'm done. I'm gonna coma out. I'm gonna be like, see you guys in freaking 2023, because I'm gonna be so disappointed and pissed that every time I barely survived last year. I mean, I don't want to be so dramatic, but that's how I feel right now. Like, I feel angry. If that happens, I feel angry. And then what
Man.
Lauren says, this, Montana Young situation is interesting, is because, dude, the 49ers were 6-5. I said 7-6. They were 6-5 when they had the whole controversy with Montana Young, right? And the team was falling apart, right? And the coaches went and said, okay, you know what? You have to pick a QB, Bill. So they went with Joe. They won a Super Bowl that year. And yeah, they survived that year. But we're talking about the Niners in their heyday. We're talking about Montana and Young, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and how we're going to survive that. And Trey Lance, a kid that's barely played. Like, come on. So it's like, yeah. So it's like, it would be worse than the Montana Young situation, right? Just because we don't have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks,
Man, I was laughing, just I don't want to any speculation, but I was just laughing at the comment you got put up right now. Thank you, Prius Game. Thank you, Prius Game. You made my day. Sometimes when I see things like that, even if it's stuff I don't believe in, it cracks me up. I love it. I appreciate you, my man.
Prius Game comes from 49er Minded.
Okay. All right.
Yep, he started showing up. We're doing when 49er Minded was coming over. Doing some things. Yeah. So let's switch to the second question. This goes along with. Why can't I share? This goes along with Swan's question of. I'm having an issue sharing this thing. Hey, Swan, any way you could try and share that on your screen real quick? You just pop the little button. So he's got this mock draft, and it was based on Larry Krueger's statement of what he was saying to trade, trade Jimmy G to Carolina for Sam Darnold and get pick number 6, I think. And we send over pick number 61. And then you traded down twice, I believe.
Traded down
and
twice.
Oh, hold on. Hang on.
I'm trying.
We got Baller in the mix. What up?
Trying to find this here.
Yeah, I have. For some reason, it won't let me click on the share. Oh, what is this? Is the dumbest thing. I couldn't click on somebody the other night because his hourglass was right here. Did it do it? Did it do it? Nope, that's trying to start something. Man.
Oh, it's got to be a PDF.
No, it shouldn't. You just share this. Oh, well. Anyway, so how about we just go through it real quick?
Oh, man, I wish there was a way to do it. Let me try to figure this out. Give me 1 second.
Tell you what, I'm going to move to question number 3. How's about that real quick while I figure this out? From the end of the season to now, do you feel the team has gotten better? If not, what do they have to do to essentially be better than last year? What moves they have to do between now and essentially what you see in the draft? Rich, we'll start with you.
Man, it is super, super tough. It's almost like I got 2 or 3 different answers for that. I'm a guy, I like to think outside the box. So, part of me kind of looks at it like, all right, if I break it down in a kind of more big picture way without all the details, I look at it like we lost DJ, we lost Tomlinson, we got back Ward, and, a couple of other guys, So my biggest thing headed into last year was worried about the cornerback position. you know, and of course quarterback, but then we got Trey Lance. But my biggest concern was when an injury happens to a cornerback, and this is before it happened with Verrett and everything, it's hard to replace that. I feel like it's easier to replace a defensive lineman opposed to a cornerback. You know, a cornerback gets hurt on the outside, the offense is licking their chops. We can immediately attack that. You know, so I kind of look at it like it's a win from one perspective. Thinking about it outside the box, I'm looking at it like, all right, we lost DJ, but we have Javon Kinlaw. Like, yeah, I know he's unproven, but I believe he's going to be a boss. I believe when he fully gets healthy, I think he's going to be good. And then I look at Tomlinson. You know, we've only subtracted one piece from our offensive line. You know, and then I look at like it feels like we're banking on Aaron Banks. Like it feels like we're, you know, it feels like, you know, the 49ers more than know more than we do. I feel like we've lost those two guys, but in turn, we're kind of gaining a lot of guys. Like I think we're going to see Jalen Moore step up. Who knows what we'll see from Justin School. But, you know, those are a lot of guys that didn't really play for us last year, even though we
with
didn't
Banks, we needed some Jay Wheaton.
Yeah. You know, and then we got McGlinchey coming back.
With Banks.
Oh,
My bad.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just saying that with Banks, we need JG Wentworth. It's our money. We want it now.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I'm always super optimistic. You know, I just believe, man. I believe we're probably more stacked right now than we probably ever have been in the past few years. You know, I feel like those guys on the offensive line are going to step up. I feel like Kinlaw will step up. I feel like Kavarius Ward was a huge addition. That was my biggest place that I felt like, you know, we needed to go to address. We did it immediately. Last year, the biggest place was quarterback. We did that. I feel like all the pieces are falling in place, man. That's just, you know, people go argue and say, you know, the offensive line is just, I don't trust it. We suck, yada, yada, yada. But I don't see it that way, man. I see whenever we are doubted in certain areas, it feels like we have that kind of team that steps up, whether it be a Tavarius Moore who steps in at safety, whether it be, you know, turning guys like the Kittle, Warner into all pros, basically. You know what I'm saying? Well, it feels like the 49ers have a knack for everybody will be stressing out about a number 3 receiver, and then we get Jawan Jennings come through, and everybody's like, okay, you know, we were panicking at first, but look, maybe we are doing the right things. People wanted D'Amico Ryans fired for a minute there. All of a sudden, oh, you know what? You know, this guy could potentially be a head coach, you know, so the panic happens. I would say we got better, you know, and we're not finished yet on top of that. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. That's what I feel. And then I feel like Ray McLeod is going to be one of our biggest producers out of, you know, all the guys that we did grab. So I'm juiced about it. I'm juiced about what we did.
So you gonna go, Ryan, or?
No, you go ahead, man.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think on the defensive side, there's definitely, if we're hopeful that, you know, if some of the things that we're hopeful for, like Kinlaw, is we see the best version of Kinlaw, that's going to be huge, right? Travaris Ward is obviously an upgrade, right? Better. I mean, Ambry was doing better at the end of the year, but, you know, Travaris Ward is a proven commodity, right? We don't know who our nickel corner is, so we'll see what happens with that, because K1 is pretty damn good, right? So I'm kind of nervous about that, but we're not done yet, because you can still draft a person there. Strong safety, you know, Tart's going to be missed if he's not brought back, so there's a hole there, right? I think Mosley will be solid. So I think we have the potential to be better there for sure, right? If we fill in those those two holes, we covered up a hole and we have two other ones. Granted, the cornerback hole is probably more important than the two other ones, right? Strong safety and slot corner, maybe not by much, but a little bit. So I think we can be better for sure. But right now, I'm not sure I could say that. I'm not sure I could be totally confident on that. On the offensive side of the ball, of course, if we get Trey Lance and he pans out or he improves, we know that's going to be better. So that's the most important position, right? So if he pans out, all those things that we just talked about, it doesn't even matter because that matters the most, right? That's
exactly.
That's our that's what we're banking on, right? That's the most weighted position, and then hopefully Banks can pan out, right? And he's going to be next to Trent Williams, so that's hopeful, right? Matt comes back another year, cool. I think we should draft a center at some point, a guard. Brunskill is Brunskill. We all know that. I'm not going to retread that. Right tackle, I'm really concerned because I don't think McGlinchey is going to be back anytime soon. And even if he comes back, he might be a shell of himself. But for sure, I don't think it will be. I would be shocked if he comes back week 1. That I would be shocked because they didn't give him a timeline. And the 49ers, they're pretty optimistic about injuries and things like that. And when they don't give a guy a timeline, and they gave Kinlaw a timeline, I'm not expecting that guy to be back for week 1. Like I'm thinking maybe week 4, week 5, week 6, who knows,
and they thought it was a no-brainer picking up his option. Man.
I mean, I get it. It's just another position that you don't have to worry about, right? So I understand. And it's $10 million. That's not little. But from their point of view, I kind of get it. He's solid in the run game. Yes, we were complaining about him, in the pass game. But when they gave him the option, remember,
you can find other guys who are solid in the run game.
But check this out. They gave him the option because remember he gained weight. This was before he got the option in camp, so they're probably thinking, yeah, he's going to be better. He's been working out all year. We'll take the option, and at the very least, we'd have his run game, and he might improve in the passing game. So I get it, even though hindsight's 20/20, right? So it's like I understand. Don't get me wrong. I make fun of McGlinchey as much as anyone, but I can understand from the way that the 49ers were thinking at that time. But we could have did something in free agency. We could have. I keep on barking about Morgan Moses, but there is Lyle Collins, things like that we could have done, and those guys were relatively cheap. I don't know. We could have signed those guys. We did.
Hey, we went and got a Keaton Sutherland, I think.
Did we get that today?
No.
Oh, you're just messing around. You're messing around. Okay.
No. We got the. I think he's a practice squad player from the Bengals or something like that. I'm just trying to be funny about it.
Yeah, the guy that they signed like the other day.
I'm not trying to get anybody from the Bengals offensive line. I was looking over free agents, and they were on the list.
I used to joke around. Man, that's one of the other players I'd be super hard on was McGlinchey, along with Jimmy Garoppolo. And someone showed me last year on a chat or something where they said, hey, go check out the play versus the Dallas Cowboys. It was a 2-yard touchdown by Ayuk. But if you go look, not last year, but the year before last year, you go check out Brandon Ayuk's 2-yard touchdown versus Dallas, and just watch Mike McGlinchey, man. It's hilarious. Yeah, he was on Pluto on that play. He did not know where he was. He did not know where he was. It was funny, man.
Yeah, and so the thing is,
you can't have that.
So the thing is that I'm worried also is that an offensive line needs cohesion, right? Like, of course you need talent, but you're not going to get all the talent. The most important thing is cohesion, right? How they play as a unit, and we're going to have, 2 new pieces, right? Like, because I'm not betting on McGlinchey being there. I don't know how they got rid of Compton, so they're hopeful that Jason School is gonna fill that role. He's been in the offense for a couple years now, even though he didn't play last year because of ACL injury. So you have to have Banks to gel with Williams, right? Mack is there, solid. Yeah, Brunskill's been in the system, solid, right? I mean, solid as you get what I'm saying. Like, he's been in the system for a while. And then right tackle, we don't know, right? We don't know what School's going to give us. We kind of saw what Moore gave us, but he got benched. So, I mean, but that's a year of improvement they can have. But like I said, if Trey pans out, yeah, we're better. For sure, we're better. Right? Like, and
So
I
think we're even
bro.
right now with Trey at the helm. I think we're even right now with Trey at the helm. I think that we lost some people, yeah, but I think with him playing, I think he opens up the offense to the point where we can have a less of a pass blocking offensive line and still be able to get rid of it or get away with it if we are running heavy and making everything look like a run to the last second. And then you can have Lance move the launch point by getting outside of the pocket. So there's things you can do with even like a bad offensive line. But I kind of want to get into that tweet that you had, because I liked how you went through some of the positions. I think you really hit what we needed.
So I wasn't able to.
So
can you share
if you don't mind, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you were able to bring it up?
First, no, I'm not able to bring it up. I was just gonna tell. I dropped the link in the chat, and I've got the link in front of me right now.
So this is just.
So you go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so I was listening to Vish and Larry Krueger, and Larry Krueger proposed like this one idea with the Panthers, because that's really the only team that's left that needs a QB, but they're stuck with Sam Darnold, right, and $18 million, right? So that's a net negative for them, right? That Sam Darnold contract
stuck, 100%,
right? So what Larry was proposing was you swap Jimmy with Sam Darnold, meaning we would eat 18 million of Sam Darnold, right? And then they'd get Jimmy, right? So sure, if we traded Jimmy or released him when he was healthy, we'd get 25 million, right? So that 25 million, you could relate 25 million to a first round draft pick, right? If you had to say the value of $25 million and the value of a first round draft pick, you know, some people say that's like 25 million. Let's just go, believe me on that one. I mean, take my word. I mean, I'm taking someone else's word for it, but let's just say that's true, right? So then, right?
Take my word that's somebody else's word.
Yeah, exactly. So then you have the Panthers, right? They have pick 6, right? So then what they're saying is, we give them pick 61, we give them Jimmy, right? And we get their pick 6, right? And that's it. And Sam Darnold, right? So then with that pick 6, right? We, of course, you can go crazy and get like a pass rusher or an offensive lineman, but we have a couple holes we can fill. So I decided, you know what, instead of getting pick 6, I'm going to trade down, right? So with the first thing, I trade down with Washington, right, to 11, right? And then I get an extra second rounder, right? And then they get our 6, our pick 6, and then our 7th rounder, right? And then I trade down again, right, with the Green Bay Packers to get their pick 22, their second rounder 53, and their third rounder 92, and then they get pick 11, right? So then now I use that to play with my mock, right? And this is a dream scenario. This is most likely not going to happen, right? But there could be something creative that happens with the Panthers, though, because even though this scenario of getting their pick 6,
if you can pull off
another thing that you could do too.
And one of the move downs that you're holding there. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to figure this. Carolina is desperate. Matt Rule is fighting for his job, right? So they're gonna run it back with Sam Darnold. You already did that. So they're desperate, right? So another way to look at it, not like, you know, what they could do too, is the Panthers can trade with, say, the Eagles. Right? Eagles have 3 first-round picks in the mid first-round picks, right? They trade the Eagles their 6th pick to the Eagles for like pick 15, and then whatever they get in the trade down, which would be a 2nd round and 3rd round, they use that 2nd and 3rd round to give to the Niners and then the QB swap, right? So,
Hey, I did. Hey, that was one of my biggest feelings was, man, it's like I had a daydream where I seen Jimmy getting traded during the draft. but
it can happen.
But besides that, I mean, that was my one and only prediction, man. From the middle of February or beginning of February was like, whatever time it was, I was like, I remember last year back when Peters went and visited the Panthers 2 times, and then once we traded up with the Dolphins, I was like, man, I wonder what those meetings were really about. And then once this year come rolling back around, I remembered Peters going there 2 times. And, I wouldn't put it past in the NFL game if you go make some, unwritten agreements a whole year before, stuff gets done. And it's like, that was my one and only prediction a while back was the Panthers. I hope we get it done. I mean, that would be a beautiful thing to see us be able to do something a little bit more with the team. And, as far as a foundational standpoint to just see, I think it would just unite, the team more than it is the fan base. And
yeah, I just go one direction and start. I mean, we've seen the Jimmy G project for 5 years now.
Yeah,
it's not going to get it done. Like we cannot be satisfied with mediocrity, right?
No matter how much people love Jimmy and think this and that, Prius game, for example, it's like we drafted. Hey, look, we already took the shot with Trey Lance. We're not. This isn't the time to be lukewarm and go back and forth and back. Like, hey, even like my wife hopped on the show a minute ago and said we don't want to see another Joe Montana and Steve Young. That thing lasted years. It wasn't just a 1 or 2 year ordeal. It's like, I mean, Bill Walsh, almost retired and walked out on the team after one season.
Right. Yeah. And that was
it's
why he left.
Could you imagine what Twitter would do nowadays? Like, I mean, regardless, man, I'm not sitting there trying to trash on Jimmy. Look, he's a mediocre quarterback that played on a great team. People say he led us to the Super Bowl. Look, I'll just say it like this. The 49ers got to the Super Bowl and Jimmy was a part of that.
Yeah.
He was probably the third best reason on why, maybe that might even be generous. I mean, it's just sad to me when you get people rooting for the same team that, want to bring politics or bring their troll game to the table and kind of like, kind of almost make it to where you're right, I'm wrong, or you have to pick a side. Like, man, we all root for the Niners. Jimmy's time is done. Nothing against him. This is Trey's team. It's like, we could all, create this controversy, create this chaotic enjoyment. But at the end of the day, it's Trey's team. And I believe we're going to see some beautiful, explosive offense that we have not seen. Like I said earlier, we haven't seen a Pro Bowl quarterback or a wide receiver since 2002, 2003. It's kind of a shame coming from the legacy of the 49ers.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be satisfied with mediocrity. And, going back to the trade is that, the 49ers have now made 2 back-to-back, right? Made 2 splashes before the draft, right? 2020 was with Defoe, right? Before that, they traded Defoe. And then 2021 was the Lance move, right? So, I mean, part of it, I don't know, like maybe Jed likes the Niners to be in focus during draft time because, there's a lot of eyeballs during draft time, right? Like draft time is a big deal in sports, right? Like draft week, nothing beats draft week, right? Like it probably dominates over all the sports at that time. Like baseball is barely getting started. Basketball, are they in the playoffs yet at that time? Yeah, they're probably not even in playoffs yet at that time. So it's a good time for them. So I would love, like I said, dreams are free, right? And if this was to happen, I'd be so happy. Like I would, if they were to pull this off, I will go, okay, you know what? shame on me. Shame on me for talking all this crap, you know?
Hey man, hey, I wasn't even trying. Like when I make a prediction, I really don't care if I'm right. I just do it almost in competition with
Yeah.
myself. Competition with myself just to almost have fun. You know, it's
No,
just
and that's what it is, right? It's all about having fun, right? At the end of the
yeah.
day, we're having fun.
Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, even when it feels like I'm some big Jimmy G hater, it's like, bro, like I really, you know, it's like I don't even really even know how to decipher it or elaborate the communication of what I truly feel, or like, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a game. I love the 49ers. I mean, if the dude in the most important position of football, quarterback, there's one of 32, you know, he's one of 32. You know, if he's number 16, I used to always say he was number 22. You know, I used to make a little joke about Jimmy being Jimmy 22, like a 22 handgun, like a little, like a just a, he's a little pew pew. He's a little gun. You know, it's not disrespect at me saying he's mediocre. I mean, that is what he is, and and at the same time, it's almost a compliment. Hey, you're one of the, you know, out of the whole world to be number 22. You know, that's pretty good. But some of us have been spoiled with Joe Montana, Steve Young, and it's embedded in my memory. 1994. It's almost like it doesn't feel like it was 28 years ago. I remember 5-0 in Super Bowls, and then it's like, hey, once we've gotten to 0-2 in Super Bowls, like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
This isn't the 40, you know.
The thing is, the younger generation of 49er fans, I understand. Yeah. The younger generation of 49er fans, I get it. They don't know any better, right? Like they went through all those bad years, you know, prior, right? From after Kaepernick, right? Like those 3 or 4 bad, atrocious years. And then Jimmy comes in and it's like, oh my God. Like, yeah, exactly. He's coming from Tom Brady, dude. He learned from the GOAT, you know? Like things like that. So, and then of course he starts off 5-0. I mean, being good looking, I'm sure does not hurt, right? So then, like, you know, a lot of people, like, you know, they see that and they're like, oh man, that's the dude, right? And he's a good guy, he's a nice guy, you know, he's not controversial, all these things, right? And then I was never sold on Jimmy at any point. I know that during the run in 2019, my neighbor, who's a big 49ers fan, he's like, he was saying, but Jimmy, he's terrible. I go, dude, it's fine. We're winning. Who cares? Like it's this. He barely has gone on this team. Let's see some more, right? And of course, the more you see, and it's kind of like, dude, it's okay. Yeah. I'm done with him because we don't have the time. And fine. Even if the Niners didn't make that move, right, to get Trey, like I would have been, okay, this is what we got, fine. We're just going to deal with it. But now the fact is the team made the move. Like they made this big ass move. You have to get behind it because there's no other way, right? Like they're going to decide what they're going to decide, whether what the fans want or whatnot, right? But at that point, you see the writing on the wall and you got to just shift. It's kind of like, you know, play the trumpets, you know, you know what I mean? It's gone, you know? So, but I understand Jimmy is the only good quarterback that some people know, and that's it, right? And that's all. And they saw that we almost won, you know, we almost won a Super Bowl, but almost is not good enough, man. Like all these good things, I get it. People have good memories of, you know, 2019 team and, you know, even this last year's team, the 21 team. But until you win one, it's a different ball game, dude. It's that much sweeter, right? Especially in football, and there's way more of a human story behind football than any other sport, I think. I mean, baseball kind of comes to it, but more about football because, like football, these guys have a very limited time in their careers, so there's a human element that you feel about them. Like, man, you know, they only have a couple of years. You know, there's a finite. They have a smaller window than other sports. Like in basketball, you can legit play 15 years. Like, you know what I mean? In baseball, you can legit play 15 years. Man, if you play 15 years in NFL, you're an outlier, right? You pay 10 years in the NFL, you're an outlier, right? So it's like it's very limited.
Yes, that is Swan. That is Swan. Aiming the dream. Man, I don't know where No Borders is. I believe it's Brian,
He's
but
having I think he's having issues.
we're holding it down for a minute. We're just talking about good old Jimmy and Trey and a little bit of John Lynch. I guess you could kind of mix him in as well. So what's up, my man? I hope you're doing well. Good stuff for coming through. I'm sure No Borders would say the same. Yeah, man. So yeah, man.
Bring up chat to see what they're saying right now.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same on Jimmy. Hey, this is where the 49ers are. I made kind of a joke today. I always like to try to bring people's spirits up, man, when it comes to just focusing so hard on the negativities. But hey, we could be talking about Blaine Gabbard. We could be talking about we could be talking about Jim Drunkenmiller, or we could be talking about Ken Dorsey. We could be talking about JT O'Sullivan, or we could go back to the who is it, Erickson days or Jim Tom Sula days. Like, it's like, man, we are blessed as 49er fans. I mean, we just are. It's like we haven't won the big one in 28 years. And so when I see certain guys get fired up, on other shows, I see that as passion at the same time. When I see some, almost contradicting what I just said, is when I see some people getting fired up, like, hey, we need to go all in. What are we doing? Go get Tyrann Mathieu. Cut Jimmy. Like, do it now. What are you waiting for? It's like, I feel that. And then I get humbled and say, hey, you know what? At the same time, like, we do have a Debo. We do have a Kittle. We do have a Warner, a Trent Williams. We got all pro players at almost every position. Like, it feels like it literally has been brick by brick, piece by piece.
And I think
we're there, man. I don't want to make the prediction and say we're winning the Super Bowl next year, but I will. And I did. So, you know what I'm saying? I always believe, we have a shot until we don't. So I think next year for sure is probably maybe the biggest time to get excited for it. For real.
Right on. I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are getting anxious, because the team is close. The team is so close, and then when they see things that doesn't go to what they're thinking as a fan, then of course it's easy for them to be like, oh man, why do they do this? But so it's always an anxious time. Like I'm really okay with anything. Like I wouldn't be. The only thing I'm complaining about is Jimmy. That's it. Yep. Like the rest of the stuff, like I don't mind the free agency. I kind of knew the 49ers were going to sign any big free agency signings. To me, when they do it, I see that as a positive, right? I don't really see it.
Hey, how much better will, it was a while back when we were all three talking, but it kind of dawned on me, like, how the defensive line, when your defensive line is so good, it can make the cornerbacks' stats look better. It can make the whole cornerback. It can make the cornerbacks and the safeties as a whole unit just look better. I started envisioning Trey Lance avoiding sacks, avoiding interceptions. How much better will the offensive line look just because of Trey Lance? You know what I'm saying? That's another thing I think. I think that's another thing that's going to happen is just because of who Trey Lance is, his footwork, his athleticism, his speed. I feel like, I just feel like, it's going to make the offensive line look even better.
I completely understand where you're saying. And then I'll get to that point once I know we're done.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But until then, I'm going to be kind of like hoping that they try to improve it. You get what I'm saying? But once the team is solidified, I'm usually the person like, hey, that's fine. I'll think positive once I know what we have, right?
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, let's try to improve what we can improve, right? But I do feel positive. Like the only thing, like I said, I don't know I don't know how I'm gonna react. I know I'm saying it right now that I'm gonna be done, but who knows what happens. But like I legit feel like right now in my gut, if Jimmy's on this team, I'm gonna feel about the front office and all those guys in a way different way, man. Because I'm gonna feel that, hey, man, you guys are not like,
Hey,
you don't have the
what would
cojones to do this, you know?
what would happen? See, I'm not super sharp on all the transactions and salary caps. I'm starting to learn a little bit more. But what would happen if they did a massive restructure like ASAP or as soon as you can do that? Like
With who? With anyone?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
Like what
you
if
mean?
they? Yeah,
Oh,
is
okay.
that
I mean,
out of the possibility to do something like that
well, you would have.
ASAP?
Well, the thing is, if you did that, you would have to add years, right? You'd have to add years to Jimmy's contract. And do we want? No, you know. I mean, if we add years,
No,
like if we try to.
I'm just looking on how appealing would that be to another team. Like
Oh, okay. I
if
get you now. I get you now.
okay,
Yeah,
like
they
hey,
could
let's restructure him,
to make him more
appealing. Hey,
attractive.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Hey,
yeah.
you know what? I would much rather have a Jimmy Garoppolo at 18, Sam Darnold
Exactly.
money than
Yeah,
you know.
I feel you. It's kind of like back in the day when they back in the old days, right? When they had dowries for women. Like if the woman, like if the girl's prettier and a good woman, or what I'm saying, like all those things, they put less in the dowry, and then when she's not those things, they put more in the dowry. But yeah, I mean, they could definitely do something like that. I mean, it's kind of they could do it in a way where they add, maybe add a year, so then they can chop up that contract a bit and then make it more manageable for the other team. But the other team trading for him can do that. You get what I'm saying? Like the team, I mean, it makes it more complicated, obviously, for the other team, because then they have to agree with Jimmy. Because throughout this whole thing, Jimmy, even though his no trade clause went away, it really doesn't go away, really, because he still has a negotiation factor of saying, hey, if you're going to trade a second for me, that team is going to want to redo your contract, right? But if Jimmy says, no, I'm not going to do it, then that's his veto. Right? For Jimmy, all Jimmy needs to say is, I'm not that excited. And then that's a veto, right? Because he still has a voice, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know what I mean? A no trade clause just makes it seem where the player has, they can do it without having seeing any, you know what I mean? It's just a nicer way of doing it. But every player technically has a no trade clause because they can just chirp. Right? They can say they're not happy. And what team's going to want a guy that's not happy? Right?
Yeah. Hey, so No Border says he might not be coming back and we could bounce if we want. But, I'm just checking out some of these questions that he had. Yeah, man, hope everything's all good, man. It's a little different of a situation, but we're just here chopping it up. So just looking at some of his other questions he had is, the free agency. I think he was asking on another question, if you were to grab a few other free agents, on some bargain bin shopping, who would you want? Who would you want us to go? Who do you think we need to go swoop up if we have the ability to go grab somebody?
I haven't even seen any of those things. Like once all the big names came out, I kind of just checked out. I did some research on the offensive line, but after that, I haven't really seen any. I mean, I know there's a bunch of older guys that are potential Hall of Fame guys, that are out there, but those guys are all expensive, right? That's kind of out like Tyrann Mathieu and Stephon Gilmore is still out there. I mean, if Jimmy's contract was off the books, that'd be tempting. Like I know that he's
Jason
older.
Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, there's another one. Like if
because we know they like to go bargain bin shopping. You know what I mean? So I don't see them going, paying big money for some of these guys. I see them trying to, like Jermaine Ifedi. Like we might laugh at them, but he's all right and he's manageable. He might be somebody we could, pick up on the offensive line and figure out how to use them. You know what I mean? Carlos Dunlap. Like
Man, is there anyone still real decent on the offensive line? Like, I'm trying to look it up
Yeah, I'm
even
gonna
right
look at it
now.
now.
There was a center. There was a center that was pretty high up on the list. I can't remember where he was from.
You're not talking about Jensen, right? Because he's gone, right? You're
I don't
talking about
know.
Jensen.
I don't know. I looked at the list, and to me, it seemed like the list wasn't 100% accurate when I saw it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with my computer. Sorry about that, gentlemen. I'm sitting there texting on YouTube like, I'm not going to be able to get in. I'm like, wait, I'm able to do it on my phone. How about I just do what I used to do before I have a laptop and just jump on the phone?
Hey, yeah, that's why I did everything from the phone, man. Yep. So I feel it, man. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man. It looks like it's because I know it feels like we do need some other pieces at offensive line. So it's like we already have basically some rookies. When you look at Jalen Moore and Aaron Banks, it's like, is that really the route we want to go in? Is go get more
Right.
rookies on the offensive line? It's like, because I mean, me personally, I would want to go get, I've mentioned it, I kind of did an inventory on Twitter. I kind of made the goods and then the bads, and it's kind of crazy. It's funny how it worked out. It's like on the good optimistic side, I got like 900 people, liking it. And then I did the pessimistic side, of my inventory. It was zero. No one didn't want to hear. Hey, it was surprising. It was surprising to me. Nobody didn't want to hear nothing about it. But I made a comment, referring, Trey Lance to a Ferrari, and kind of like, we got Trent Williams. And then after that, there's a whole bunch of question marks. I know it gets contradicting on my optimism on what I say about, I got a lot of faith in it. But I mean, if I were to look at it from the flip side, we got one guy that is, an all pro. You go look back at some of the old 49er teams with Jesse Sapolo and Harris Barton, and it feels like we would have every position just stacked.
Right.
So it kind of feels like, all right, you got this Ferrari and you got Auto Plus insurance. It's like, and I kind of joked about it with my wife, and she's like, "What's Auto Plus?" I was like, I don't know. That's the point. I don't even know what Auto Plus is.
It's the insurance you get when you're in your young 20s, right? And then your parents are not paying your insurance anymore. You get any type of insurance, man.
It's funny because then I looked it up, and I don't think there is actually a Auto Plus, and I think it's not even a such thing. So it kind of reminds me of, hey, we got this hot rod, and hopefully it can outrun anything that comes its way. And like me and you were discussing, as far as I think Trey Lance could look the insurance look a little bit better. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do. I get what you're saying, that he can mitigate a bad push. Obviously, it's going to be able to mitigate a bad, offensive line more than Jimmy, right? Obviously, because he can move better. But at the same time, it's like you say, we have a Ferrari, right? Let's give him some insurance, right? Let's give him some good insurance, right? As best that we can. I get what you're saying about Aaron Banks. He needs to start, because we need to know.
Did you hear?
They spent a second-round draft pick on him.
Larry Krueger was talking about him the other day, and what he said was, I don't think he's a bust. He says, and this is one thing I noticed too from preseason, it seemed like he was lost. It seems like there's a lot going on for him, and he doesn't know where the hell he's supposed to be. And I think something like a whole year in the system might straighten that out.
Yeah.
So I feel they know better than us on Banks, exactly. And I think
more.
I think everything's okay there with Banks. I think he may not start, but somebody else might get injured and he might get thrown in there. But I think
he's going to start, dude.
I have a feeling he's going to also.
Yeah, I think he's going to start probably at left guard, right?
At one point, I keep bringing up too, and I know this goes for every single rookie that comes up, but it's like, these guys are switching environments. This is the first time some of these guys are moving, away from,
Yeah, and he's
You
with
know,
position too.
these guys are human, man. When you go travel states and states away to some guys it might not affect them that much. Some guys can be a chameleon with ease, and then some guys it's a traumatic, adjustment to, the environment you're living in, the people you're around, catching the play. But there's a lot of moving pieces for a rookie. So I feel like Trey Sermon, Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, Trey Lance, I feel like they were all planned for this coming up year. I feel like they were all on ice. Man, it was unbelievable what Elijah Mitchell did. That was special. But hey,
Did you see Kinlawn's interview with what's his name from Brad?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I seen a little bit of it.
Yeah, he said he's moved better than he's ever moved.
He says it's like a new knee, and when he was talking about like. He said there was a lot of fluid.
Yeah.
And I know what he's talking about. It makes so to the fluid on the knee, I've never had it drained, but I heard who was it? Was it Julian Edelman talk about it? Or was it no, it was that one dude up in New England who just had was it Julian Edelman? Yeah, Julian Edelman. They said he went in there, both their kneecaps are all pushed out. It really sucks. You kind of walk with a limp and stuff like that. Just really painful stuff. And he said he watched, what's his name? They shoved the biggest needle he's ever seen in the kneecap while this guy is just like in agonizing pain, and then sucked this orange liquid out of the knee. And that's if you get it on the first prick. You know what I mean? Just like a cortisone shot, you might have to move it around till you get it in the right spot. So he's seen that and was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to play with it. So there's a lot to be said about playing with that fluid on the knee. If it's bone on bone, that's an issue. But if it was just fluid on the knee and they figured out what was causing the fluid on the knee and now they fixed it and now he's got a brand new knee, watch out. That man is going to be trouble.
Hey, man, I made some bold predictions before last year started. I went crazy with it. I was like, but I made 3 main predictions, and it was, Trey Lance, 13-4. And going back to that, hey, I wouldn't doubt it. It wouldn't have surprised me if he could have went 13-4 with what happened last year. I feel like there's 3 games we definitely could have won.
Oh yeah,
that we didn't.
Sure.
But I said Trey Lance 13-4. And I specifically said Elijah Mitchell is going to play a key role, and this is probably a month before the season. And then I said Javon Kinlaw is going to have a monster season, and then I feel like maybe, I was on 2 of those. I nailed it on the Elijah Mitchell, but I feel like maybe I was ahead of it with and I said Trey Lance would make his debut in the 3rd game. And I think he came in the 3rd and a half game, if I'm not mistaken. I think he came in halfway through the 4th game.
Should have started the 1st game.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, hey, man, basically my point is I believed it last year that, Kinlaw was going to come through with a breakout monster season. I still feel the same way regardless, especially hearing it come from him talking about, hey, I feel like I've never felt this way before. I believe it, man. When it's coming from the man himself, I trust it. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Like, as far like at the beginning when Kinlaw was hurt, right? I was thinking, man, and when we were hearing all these knee issues that we're thinking that it's degenerative and arthritic and all that stuff. And now that they said that no, it's actually was something that we didn't see from previous MRIs, and then we think we've got it figured out now. That makes me really hopeful. So my expectation for Kinlaw is just, hey, plug up the run, right? Play the whole year. Don't miss too many games. And I'm straight with that. And anything he gives past that is gravy. Like if he starts adding pass rush and doing all those things, which he did show at the end of 2020, like, he got a couple of sacks at the end of 2020 there. And he did one with the swim move and those things like that, because he's a beast, right? So it's like, if he can do that, and if anything, if he goes, man, that defense is going to be crazy.
Man, what was the stuff they were saying? The Barbarian Squirrel King Nugget?
What really got me hyped up? Did you guys see the Baldinger? Wait one second. Did you see the Baldinger tweet at the beginning of the year where he said that the player that he's looking to have a big move was Javon Kinlaw, because those Baldinger breakdowns are freaking, they're legendary. Like, they're so awesome. And then when I saw that, I was getting hyped. And then when I heard D'Amico say the player that he sees going to make the biggest movement this year was Kinlaw, right? So when I heard those two things, I'm like, damn, dude, this is going to be good. And then when all those injuries happened, I was kind of like, oh, this sucks. But
if a guy like Kinlaw can have half the moves of a guy like Buckner, half the moves of a guy like Buckner with that strength,
dude,
he's unstoppable. It's almost like Dit Butkus from back in the day. You ever watch any Dit Butkus highlights?
I mean, not that I can remember, but I've seen him before.
So I want you to go home. Well, I want you to after this is done, I want you to turn on some Dit Butkus highlights and watch that man run straight up and down. No getting down, no hunched over. Run straight through lines and just maul people. He looked like a freaking bear. I'm telling you, watch that. I mean, because in football, I don't know, you're told to get down, to get low. You know what I mean? Because you're less of a target. You know what I mean? It's just the best thing to do. And especially when you're going through the line, you know what I mean? You don't want to have your ribs exposed. You know what I mean? Somebody put a helmet, a shoulder into that. They can get underneath and move you the other way. He had no care. He just went through there. And I swear, there's sometimes he looks like he's a bear, like trying to maul down his opponent and like pull them to the ground.
I know what you're talking about, man. It's having it. He probably had that extra chip on his shoulder being Dick Butkus. He probably just had Waterboy. He probably had Waterboy type PTSD trying to, okay, I'm going to show you Dick Butkus, all right? Like,
Hey, I want to ask
I'm going to make you kiss your butt. Bend you in half.
I want to ask you guys a question, and I won't talk about Jimmy again, okay?
Right.
What is your fear? What is your percentage that Jimmy, not what you want, what you think is going to happen, that he starts week 1? What is the percentage of that happening? Like, no way in hell, 10%, 20%, whatever, 1%, 50%?
I'm trying to turn myself into a logical person that has no ties to the. I'm just trying to eliminate all emotions about anything I feel about Trey. And even when I'm trying to do that, I cannot see it like, the fan in,
you said logical.
Man, the fan in me wants to say 0%, and looking at it from a non-49er perspective, I still feel like it's 0%. I can't see it. And if it, man, I see Ekim like 50-50, like, man.
Oh my God.
I want to sometimes when I feel like I could throw up, I start laughing.
Yeah.
That's my coping mechanism, man. I try to just laugh it off. Holy. Yeah, hey, man, to each man their own. I feel like there's no way. I just can't see it. I can't.
There's no way, right? No way.
No way. What do you feel? What do you feel, Ryan? What do you feel,
There's
man?
a way. Jimmy G.
Oh my God.
Jimmy G has no trade value. I'm saying there's an 80% chance that Jimmy, if I take Lynch on face value that he won't be cutting Jimmy, and that Jimmy is too valuable to cut, then no one's trading for him, I don't think. Like, I don't know. Like, if I were Carolina, I would be trying to get Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd try to figure out how to get them to take Baker Mayfield's contract. You know what I mean? Like, I'd figure out something. Like, I'd be working overtime just not to try and trade Jimmy.
Yeah, we agree with you, Ekim. I see Ekim up in the chats. Him and Bay Area Baller. Like, man, hey, it was longer than a year ago where I was on that same hype. Like, hey, man, this man can't even, I'm trying not to trash the man, but it's like, man, he couldn't even run out of bounds without tearing his ACL. And once I seen certain things, deer in the headlights, and he's limited to inside of a box, and the whole NFL knows what's up. He's limited to a box. They know how to play him. Once it came out more and more and more, this is how he is. These are his limitations. Injury prone. It's a tough situation.
What just popped into my head?
Man.
You remember Jimmy when he decided to run for that touchdown and put his head down and go on the goal line and he almost got a concussion? You know what I mean? Went head first. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
Was it preseason? It was preseason, right?
Yeah. Wasn't it? Was it preseason?
It was
preseason. Yes.
I think it was the Chargers preseason game. And we're like, damn, Jimmy going. He wants that job bad, man. He's going head first.
So what I'm thinking is if Trey Lance and can get him to do something stupid like that, you know what I mean? Just the threat of Trey Lance can get him to do something that's stupid. What can some DB do to him? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? What can it? He's not strong enough mentally. You know what I mean? That's not his game. He should know. Hey, I'm gonna do this, and this because this is my strong points, and also, hey, I'm Jimmy G. I'm the glass man. I need to not get messed up. Like, it doesn't matter how much you're feeling yourself. You got to get busted.
The 49ers came out, I believe, a year or two ago and was like, there were some reports where it leaked out a little bit how, I don't know exactly who it was, where it come from, but it was like, yeah, Jimmy's not as smart as we thought he was, man. We thought he was a little more bright, and man, it just shows. I mean, it is what it is. It's one of the most entertaining situations to be in. Kind of unfortunate, entertaining. It's kind of like, hey, like I said before, we could be talking about Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people like to say, hey, if you have two, you don't got none. Yeah. But it's like, I don't completely believe in that. It's like, they haven't come out and publicly said it, but if they're behind the scenes, Kyle and Trey and John, they all know it's Trey time and it's a matter of time with Jimmy. I mean, then, it's a, man, I don't even know what to say no more about it, to be honest. It's I said halfway through last year, I was like, man, just cut this dude. Just end it, cut it. Wash your hands, flip the page.
I think they're going to bring him into they're going to try and at least get it into training camp and get him into all that, see if anybody goes down and somebody doesn't want to make a deal with the devil. You know what I mean? But to me, it's all a losing. You're going to get to the same place where you're just going to have to essentially cut him. Because even if somebody gets into a desperate mode, they're going to go and kick the tires and be like, nah, because what are you doing? You're also handicapping one of the potential front runners in the league by not doing a deal with them. So if you feel that it's too much and you could get by doing something else and waiting for your quarterback, to get a quarterback till next year, I mean, it's a real easy decision just to walk away. It's really easy. You got nothing involved, no skin in this game whatsoever. In fact, like people talk about, oh, well, Seattle might know, or I heard someone say, well, the 49ers don't want to deal Jimmy to Seattle. I'm like, bull crap. They want to ship him out right now to Seattle. That's just great. That's exactly what they want, to weaken their quarterback position so he can throw interceptions to Fred Warner all day. You know what I mean? That's where we want him. We want Fred Warner getting 2 interceptions a year, playing against Jimmy G up there. And the Seahawks don't want Jimmy G out of San Francisco because they want him right here, clogging up everything, making it, even though they're in a rebuilding year, they still want to have some sort of a chance to win this year, even though I don't think they're going to be able to.
This is great. Hey, man, I don't mean to bring some personal stuff, but y'all should go check out one of the things I said on Twitter earlier, man. Hey, these people, some of these dudes are like, yeah, Jimmy is a king, and Trey didn't even come close to beating him out in training camp, and Trey wasn't even close to an option. Ah, Lord, hey, it's like Swan said earlier, I think a lot of dudes might just, some of these guys might not even be Niner fans unless they are brainwashed. Prayers to them. I wish they could all watch the show, man. I would love for them to all just flood the channel. We could get it on and cracking with them, but we would probably never see that. But we could dream. Like Swan said as well too. Hey, dreams are free, man. Some of these guys are off the hook, bro.
It's so I don't know if you guys hit this one, but out of the free agents already signed, who do you think has the biggest breakout? So obvious Charvarius Ward, we're expecting him to do big things, but is there anybody like with the linebacker from Green Bay, Odom, was it?
No, that's Burks.
Oren Burks.
Yeah.
Oren Burks.
Yeah, I feel like
like an investment banker.
I don't feel like it's a huge. I wouldn't doubt it if you could see the same production out of Odom. I believe it is the safety. People say, "Oh, you're crazy. That's just a special teams player."
No.
I see what the 49ers have done over the past few years. Yeah, we could say, hey, Lynch is horrible. He's made some of the dumbest picks, yada, yada, yada. But I've seen what happened with guys like Warner and Kittle, Jawan Jennings, some of these later picks. And it feels like the 49ers find a way to get the best out of some of these guys that come through, Oren Burks, I don't know his first name, but Odom, Greg Odom. Is it Greg Odom? I believe it. Or George Odom. But, besides George Odom, I definitely see Ray McLeod putting up some numbers, whether someone's always going to get injured, hopefully it's not one of our main guys, but, I always see an opportunity for a receiver and a cornerback just when it comes to injuries. So
I heard the Colts were really upset to lose Odom. Yeah, and that's always a good sign.
Yeah, so I think so Charvarius Ward's gonna have the most expectations, right? So he's like what he's gonna have to do, a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone is expecting him to do it. So the surprise one, I'll just go with what Baller, the guy that he scouted out was Ray McLeod, and what Keltz was talking about, that guy. Because he's gonna be kind of like Debo light, poor man's Debo. So you're gonna see some. I think you're gonna see some things. They're gonna offload some of those things with Ray McLeod, and plus he's gonna be a returner. We're finally maybe see someone get the ball to the 50. You know what I mean? Like it seems like with the Niners is like they put the ball, return 25. 27-yard line. It's like it's hardly ever where we ever even see him at the 40, the 45, the 50. It'll hardly ever happen. So I think if he does that, that's going to be amazing, right? That's going to be something that will happen in years.
I got a question for you guys. So with Trey being able to actually pass the ball downfield, right? And we've got, Ray who's shifty in space. We got Debo who's shifty in space. We got Ayuk who can run a beautiful route and get open and has got that speed. How many touchdowns do you think can be thrown for this year? Because being able to put the ball down there, you got less people to have to juke, miss, bowl over, whatever you have to do to get there. You got less people down there in your way. And with the people we got the speed to do it. Don't you see us being able to essentially get more passing touchdowns than probably we've had in the last, 4 or 5 years?
I mean,
maybe by another 50% or so.
I mean, I think it's possible. I think it just depends on how much Kyle is willing to trust Trey, right? Like I have a feeling Trey has some rebel in him too. Like, you know, like I don't know if you guys watched the Last Second Sports, you know, Jesse Naylor's interview of the NDSU insider. Have you watched that, Keltz? Like the stuff that he says.
Oh, yeah, the fan guy.
Yeah, the insider, like insider slash fan guy, right? So
number one fan slash insider. Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
So,
everybody connected to Trey Lance personally, whether it's the insider or even a year or two back, the coach, man, has had nothing but the best to say. So
yeah, so then remember that one play, I think it's it was in the Texans game where we get a pass interference call, right? Which we hardly ever get, right? Trey throws
the deep pass
the deep pass, and then Trey does this look where he's like when you see it in the broadcast, he's like doing this and he's rolling his eyes up.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that, I was like, what is he trying to say there? Like, I had no idea, right? So then the NDSU insider was saying that, who was he what was he doing there? Jesse asked him, right? And he's like, what I think he did was he's telling Kyle, we need to throw it deep, you know, like to open up this offense, right? Because that's how the old Niner teams used to do too, right? They throw it to death and then they throw it deep, right?
One of the most underrated plays. I went to that game, the Texans versus the 49ers game, man. And it was beautiful. I went there before even knowing Trey Lance was going to start. It was a Christmas gift.
Awesome, dude.
It was a Christmas gift from my wife before even knowing, you know, this is just completely unknown. And long story short, oh man, we had a blast, man. I mean, she was I think she fell in love with football going to that game. So I enjoy that. But one of the most underrated plays in that game, and I was calling for it. I was like, dude, this is the time when you right before the end of the half. And you know, I think I'm saying it out loud in front of the fans. This is when you take that corner shot in the end zone, and two things happen. Well, not with Garoppolo, you know, anything can happen if Garoppolo does it because he's going to underthrow it.
Right.
But two things happen. You get a pass interference or it goes out of bounds or your guy catches it. Three things. You know, it's like, how come we do not do that?
Yeah,
it's like
four because
you use the sideline as your safety blanket. You use that, you know, and they did it. And I was like, yes. And it's like, Ayuk almost got it. It was a perfect pass.
If you looked at his arm.
But I was so juiced up, just even that, like, yes, that's what you're supposed to do in that situation. You put it in a place where only your receiver can go get it, or it's a flag. It's like a win-win.
Yeah,
it's
and look what the defenses have. Like, they know how to freaking defend us because they know Jimmy only throws the ball in the middle of the field. Like they start coming down, right? They keep on getting tighter and tighter. But with Trey, that's going to loosen up, right?
Salivating.
Right. And if they still play tight, they're going to pay for it. But right off the bat, like I think it was an Arizona game, they respected Trey, right? Even with Travis Benjamin there, they played looser. They played looser than what they do normally with the 49ers. And then, of course, he runs 20 times in that game. I don't know. I mean, I guess Shanahan had no trust in him at that point. But, you know, and so that's the thing that I'm waiting for, dude. I'm so sick. Like, from an entertainment standpoint, not even talking about wins or losses, Jimmy is boring, dude.
Hey, it felt like it was super vanilla versus the Cardinals. And then even versus the Texans, I remember me and a lot of other fans were like, come on, Kyle, like, don't do this again. You know, the first half of that Texans game, we're kind of like,
because it's just, what is going on?
We're watching this. It's like, yeah, I know he threw the pick when he was trying to throw it to Kittle, but just being there at the game and watching it, and it just, you had the feeling, like, come on, bro. Like, what do you like? Hey, he's in there for you. It's like kind of like, you know, he's already there. Use him. It's kind of like I used to be told when I was a kid, when you know, fastballs would be thrown at me. I'm a little dude, 5-6 years old. Hey, if the ball is going to hurt you, you know, if it's going to hit you and hurt, you might as well catch it. You know, I kind of
Yeah,
feel this. I kind of feel the same way about Trey. It's like, hey, if he's already going to be out there, use him to the full ability. Kind of like what Fred Warner said. Hey, in practice, you take these shots, take the
Yes.
risk, see how you can fit it in, see how far you can push it. Like, you know, that's what you want to see, what you're truly capable of.
That's the best way to learn in anything, right?
Yeah, you want to see, hey, if you make them, hey, we're all going to make mistakes, but shoot the shot. One thing that I criticized Kyle about was it feels like he plays to not lose the game sometimes instead of playing to win the game. Just like Herm Edwards said, man, you play to win the game. Like, bro, you've had enough years. You know, you've had enough years trying to level up brick by brick it, yada, yada, yada. Shoot the shot now. It's like you got the cannon, you got the players. Don't do it again, man. It's like, you know, don't pity patter, don't tiptoe, don't try to be too much of a genius. Man, smash mouth football, throw it deep with Trey. Let's get this thing rocking.
Don't be Marty Schottenheimer, dude. Like,
hey,
you know what I mean? Don't be Marty Schottenheimer, man.
Hey.
Like, I respect him, but at the same time, that dude never took chances, man. That's how.
Hey, Rich, what do you think about running more of like a jumbo formation? This is something I've been saying, let's come out in the first half of the game, jumbo formation, make them beef up on defense, get all the big boys out there to stop us. And once that happens, you spread them out and you kill them with our full use check out, spread out like a wide receiver. Now you got all these big fat guys out there trying to. And also, this is the other thing: the more big guys they put out there, the rotation suffers. You know what I mean? So the first half, if you got all your big guys and you've got them out there and they're having to rotate quicker and quicker in, and they're getting more, you're zapping them out. So when it comes to third and fourth quarter, they're going to be a little drained, and you could do a little bit more on them. So when you're like trying to really, spread out your offense and make the defense really, open up, then that's when you can start letting your offensive line start winning one-on-one matchups, you know what I mean? And actually being able to pass protect, you know what I mean? Because when you're tired, it's hard to push someone around or back. So
I've loved it since I was a kid, man. It's like since my first memories, bro, like I just was in love with football and the 49ers at the same time. Like I would literally write my own plays up. I'd play Madden. I'd play in the street. I mean, anywhere I'd go, even the grocery store, I got my Niner football with me. Like I'm ready to play. I'd read every newspaper. Long story short, I would draw up my own jumbo packages, as a kid. I would stack it up, and it's funny because, I'm sure it happened before me, but as a kid, I'm thinking I come up with this genius idea, and then Jim Harbaugh really started using a lot of it. And I was like, yes, like I knew someone would, instill this one. Yeah, man. Like, man, I love it. I've always loved the big, massive packages, since I was a kid, man. So, and everything you were just saying about Trey and all that stuff, it seems like, hey, man, why not? Why not use? I feel like there's no ceiling to what you can do with Trey Lance. I feel like you could spread it out. You could, I feel like there's no ceiling. And when I say no ceiling, I feel like you can do anything with him. Package.
I think his ceiling is
none.
None. He can do whatever. He's, to me, like, of course we're all biased because we're Niner fans and stuff, but like he doesn't have a comp to me. Like, as far as how I see it, like if all the athletic stuff we know about, it's amazing, but it's the intangibles that I love, right? Like the work ethic, the character, the chip on his shoulder, humble kid, the good kid, like all that stuff. I like that.
Oh, this has got to go.
I like this rebellion side as well. So, but
sorry, we don't do Nazis.
But so I have to run, boys. I got to get dinner with the fam.
Yeah.
Same here.
It was awesome talking with you guys, and
that might be the sign right there.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a wonderful day.
Hey,
All right.
prayers to
Appreciate
you.
y'all having me on.
Yep. Hey, good stuff to both of y'all. Stay blessed, stay up, and even you in the chat, man. Prayers to you, whether you like it or not. I don't play. Hey, I don't play. Hey, in today's world, man, you know, it's not human versus human, man. There's a spirit, you know, that be coming and you know, doing things like this dude that's trying to hop on. You know, we're all humans, my man. So, like, you know, I try to fight that battle because there is power in prayer. That's just my belief. You know, it is what it is. I appreciate both of y'all. It was fun. You know, I hope everybody's just does well, and we'll hit it up again, I'm sure.
All right, man. It was good. It was fun, guys.
Peace.
Thanks.
All right. Peace.
Yay.